Donna, back again with another review. I hope you guys are doing awesome. So I had an opportunity to catch an early screening of the new Ben Affleck directed movie Air. And this film tells the story of how Nike was able to convince Michael Jordan to sign with them to start the Air Jordan brand of sneakers, which is the largest sneaker brand ever, right? This film stars Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker, Marlon Wayans, Chris Messina, Viola Davis, Julius Tenen. It is literally a who's who of like some of the best actors in Hollywood who are starring in this very small film, which feels very small, very independent focused, but it's a big film at that. And it really does a great job of selling the story that we're all familiar with, because we're all familiar with who Michael Jordan is. And if you were a kid in the 80s and 90s, you definitely wanted to be like Mike. You remember those commercials about being like Mike. You remember going to see Space Jam. You remember rooting for the Bulls. I remember going to Michael Jordan's restaurant when I went to Chicago, like Michael Jordan. Number 23, right? He is the one to be like. And this really tells the story of that. But it's not Michael Jordan's story. It's really more of a story about how this division of Nike, the basketball division of Nike, was struggling and was a fledgling, about to be canceled, about to be kind of completely demolished section of the Nike brand because they weren't successful, and how one executive really just has to take a big gamble on this like college basketball star, and who was just signing with the Bulls, was just in the beginning stages of his career, taking a bet that this collaboration with him was going to change the trajectory of that company. And it does a great job of showing that this betting man made the right gamble. It really also focuses a whole lot on Dolores Jordan, played by Viola Davis, and how she sought to protect her son and his financial investment by not just having him have this brand with his name on it, but really making him a partner with Nike, having him get shares of this, which is like well known. It's not really a secret, so it's not really a spoiler. This film was so suspenseful, again, for a story that is already kind of well known, well documented. It's been out in the press. Michael Jordan has been a star for forever, for most of my life. So this is a well-known story, and yet this film was filled with suspense, filled with tension, does a great job of building up these tense moments where we don't know what's going to happen, yet we do know what's going to happen. And so for that, I think that is a sign of a great film, great script, and great acting, and also some great direction. Some of the moments of the film that I think are definitely worth paying close attention to. I really thoroughly enjoyed the performance by Jason Bateman in this movie. I definitely think he was a standout in this movie, and he brings some of the more heartfelt moments. You definitely get that from Matt Damon, but where you see Matt Damon kind of fighting to show that heart and to really fight for this, you really kind of get that quiet stillness from Jason Bateman's character that is not really something that Jason Bateman is known for. And so it was really pleasurable to see him kind of pull the reins back on some of the more outlandishness that you usually can kind of see with his characters, and really rein that in and just bring so much heart to his performance. Another standout performance for me was Chris Tucker, who did a little bit of voice work in this, playing Howard White. And I thought this was a great return to film. He's been in films, obviously throughout his career, but he's been kind of stepping away from the limelight in the last 10 or so years. But we know he's making a big return in the upcoming months with Rush Hour 4. And so it was nice to see him kind of dust that off a little bit. He did a great job in this performance. Marlon Wayans is also in this film. I don't think I knew that, and so I was quite surprised to see him come across my screen. He's in there for a very small moment. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you is that this moment of the film probably has some of the biggest glaring issues with the photography and cinematography of the film. There were some really big focus issues going on as the camera work was in the lens was focusing in on the two characters that are on screen, Marlon Wayans and Matt Damon, and there are moments where it's so evident that as they're trying to focus in on the actor who's talking, they're losing focus everywhere else, but it's not a smooth transition that you would normally see, and because it's happening so quickly, it's very noticeable. Now, because of this, because I watch movies for that purpose, I was very easily distracted. And so I missed some of the dialogue in that scene because I was so distracted by trying to figure out, was this an issue with my individual theater? Was there something going on in the projector booth? Or was this an issue with the film? Sounds like this is an issue with the film, so what I would recommend is when you see this moment, just kind of close your eyes and listen, because the story that he was telling was super, super important to the film and to kind of building up these characters a little bit more. And I hate that I even missed part of that because I was so distracted. So I would recommend kind of like either just not letting yourself get distracted by it, or if it becomes too distracting, just kind of closing your eyes a little bit and just focusing in on what the characters are saying in that moment. You won't notice it as much in other scenes, but that was just one because they were in a dark bar. It was very noticeable. Viola Davis is warm and loving as always, and I don't feel like this film she's doing anything that we haven't seen from Viola Davis. So I wouldn't expect much in terms of the way of award seasons from this particular performance. If it happens, it would be a nice surprise, because I definitely think she missed some awards last season from The Woman King, which was a bit of a different performance from her. And so for that reason, hey, if you want to give it, you want to give it. I won't be mad at it. But she was great in the film. It just wasn't a surprise. Who was a surprise was Julius Tennant, who barely had any speaking words, but was so warm on screen as Michael Jordan's father. And if you know the backstory about Michael Jordan's father, having him on screen just constantly smiling and being warm and supportive, that was definitely a well-needed addition. And I'm so glad they made sure not to exclude him from that. Who am I missing? Chris Messina. I think Chris Messina really shined as playing Michael Jordan's agent and gave us some of the best, brought some of the best laughs. The theater was literally laughing out loud in almost all of his scenes. The dynamic between him and Matt Damon was wonderful. The back and forth play that they do, really sink in and enjoy those moments because it was so, so nice. This one was inspirational. It's not necessarily a family friendly film per se, but it was highly inspirational and highly enjoyable, mainly because Chris Messina, there's a whole lot of words in there that you might not want your young kids to hear. But the film was incredibly enjoyable. I definitely would see it again, and I definitely would watch it again. Now, I don't know that I would go and see this as a full price ticket because those cinematography issues really bothered me. But if you're not someone who's easily bothered by that, then definitely pay the full price. It's worth it. But if nothing else, I definitely think this is worth a matinee seat. So please let me know down below in the comments if you plan to go see Air. I think you will enjoy it. If you go see it, come back to this video and let me know if you liked it. And I will see you guys at the next one. Toodles.